Okay, I think we are recording now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so hello, I am Fofie.
Hello. And I'm Karen.
And we are the first presenters, dear God, why, for the EXA presentations in the arts and therapy. We're going to start with the introduction of ourselves and how we are approaching EXA, including our location and approach. You have all heard my episode a million times, but I am a bicultural Black woman who is grounded and approaches EXA. It sounds contradictory, but in a spirit-led way. I'm grounded in Indigenous and liberatory frameworks, very transpersonal psychology-led, as Karen and I have discussed. And what else about me? I came into this program and I continue to approach EXA as a vehicle for those approaches, as a way to unlanguage our work, as a way to have a framing beyond the personal and the individual and the physical, and to bring in ancestral wisdom and traditions, whoever's ancestors and whoever's traditions those may be, in the ways that are connected to the client. So theirs, actually. But for my own stem from traditions in both East and West Africa, the Wa'at of East Africa, and my Somali heritage and parentage, and the Akom and the Akan in the Akan tradition of West Africa, and my spiritual practice and maternal lineage. And so for this, Karen and I are presenting on ancestral and multi-generational trauma, looking at ritual and permission. And for me, I have a view that, of the ritual in the everyday, as well as the very specific ritual of ceremony. And while I will use ritual interchangeably throughout this workshop, I'll try and be specific in which way I'm using it, but I'll mostly be using ritual in a way that is focused, specific, and targeted of whatever is the work that's being done with the client. Again, calling in their ancestors or their spirit-led whoever. And I think that's it for now. Karen.
Groovy. Well, thanks, Fofie. It's always nice to hear all the goods that we're bringing in. So I'm Karen. You all know me. It's good to see you guys. And yeah, Fofie gave a really beautiful outline of kind of what we're looking at, and just in a nutshell, the notions of ceremony and ritual, traumas, both, physical, biological, and inherited, those invisible ones, and the strong sense of permissioning, which I think really was the navigational compass of looking into how does this workshop come into fruition. And I guess as I would consider myself a white European mutt who happened to have zero sense of permission and had zero sense of ritual and zero sense of ceremony. And so the exploration, both personal and collective, has been one of constantly finding that curiosity and tapping that curiosity back into a sense of permission and what that looks like. So throughout this workshop, we are going to be exploring and looking through a lot of the same theoretical EXA lenses of expressive arts therapy as a vehicle and as a dialogue and a language, both actual verbal language and an unlanguaged visual or kinesthetic, somatic language, and how we're able to permission ourselves and connect ourselves in a way that harmonizes both the external and internal, the visible and invisible. My general take on the EXA is it's all about intersectionality. It's a way of bringing themes specifically that I'm interested in around transpersonal psych, ecofeminism, trauma informed, and how those can all kind of come into alignment through various modalities, whether it's through the visual arts or dance and movement or music, drama therapy, and how we're going to play with all of these in the most honoring of ways. And it's also going to be examining the nuances of externalization. And so much of working with ancestral lineage and trauma is all about in what ways do we externalize this sense of knowing or the sense of belonging and the sense of being in a way that is not appropriating, in a way that is not exploitive, in a way that is not reopening wounds, physical or invisible. And in what ways do we create a sense of deeper and more profound connection that does enrich and enhance one's journey on the path of healing?
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Karen referenced in terms of the EXA approaches, and specifically we're coming from a focus of narrative and social constructionists, and looking at techniques of how interventions using metaphor, externalization, reauthoring, and how these connect to working with trauma from a place of working with specifically ancestral and multi-generational trauma from a place of ritual, grounded in ritual impermission. And we are looking at the nexus. And so while we are working on unlanguaging and being conscious and critical of language, so we will be speaking of the intersections and separating that from the critical theory intersectionality. So while we'll be looking at where the cross sections of all of these are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and everything else that we're going to say, we're going to go ahead and say it later. So this is our introduction. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.